The day Elijah Crowe bought a woman, the sky was the color of old tin and the wind pressed low against the plains as if it, too, was ashamed to be watching. He had not planned to buy anyone. He had ridden into town with a sack of dried beans and a list of fence nails, thinking only of winter and the slow ache in his left knee. But the sale was happening right there in the yard behind the feed store, quiet and quick, like something everyone wanted finished before conscience could catch up. The woman stood barefoot in the dust. She could not have been more than 20. Her dress hung loose, stained at the hem, one hand folded protectively over her belly. Her other hand trembled at her side. She did not cry. That was what struck Elijah first. She stared at the ground as if she had learned that looking up only invited disappointment. Her mother stood a few feet away, arms crossed, face stiff with something that might once have been shame but had hardened into resolve. A man with a ledger spoke numbers. Another man counted coins. Elijah's chest tightened. He had known loneliness his entire adult life, but this was different. This was the sound of a door closing on someone else's hope. "What's her name?" Elijah asked before he could stop himself. The ledger man looked annoyed. "Doesn't matter." "It matters to me," Elijah said. The young woman lifted her eyes then, just a little. "Clara," she said softly. Her voice carried like a bird with a broken wing. "She's pregnant," the man added quickly, as if apologizing for damaged goods. "No husband. Mother can't keep her. Town won't have her." Elijah felt the familiar hollow inside him, the one that had grown wider each year since Martha died and the nursery they'd painted together had stayed empty. The doctors had used words like irreversible and unknown cause. The silence that followed had been louder than any verdict. "How much?" Elijah asked. The mother flinched, just barely. The coins changed hands. The ledger snapped shut. It was done. Clara did not thank him. She did not smile. She only followed when he gestured toward his horse, her steps careful, as if the ground might give way beneath her. The ride to the ranch took hours. They spoke little. Elijah told her she could sit sideways to ease her back. She nodded but said nothing. When the ranch house came into view, low and weathered against the land, she stopped walking. "I won't be trouble," she said suddenly. "I can work. I won't ask for more than food and a place to sleep." Elijah swallowed. "You don't owe me anything," he said. "You're safe here." She looked at him then, really looked, searching for the lie she expected. When she didn't find it, her face crumpled. She turned away quickly, but not before he saw the tears. Life settled into a strange, tentative rhythm. Clara slept in the spare room. Elijah took the couch at first, then the chair, as if distance itself were a kind of respect. She cooked quietly, hands moving with practiced care. He noticed how she flinched at sudden noises, how she avoided the road that led back toward town. At night, Elijah lay awake listening to the wind and the sounds of her pacing softly, one hand on her belly. He wanted to ask about the baby's father, but something in her eyes warned him away. Some stories needed time to breathe before they could be told. Weeks passed. Clara's strength returned. She laughed once when a calf escaped the pen and Elijah chased it in circles, cursing under his breath. The sound startled them both. She clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes wide, as if laughter were a dangerous thing. "Sorry," she said. "Don't be," Elijah replied. "It's good to hear." The baby came early, on a night when the sky split open with thunder. Clara screamed and begged and cursed the world in turns. Elijah ran for the midwife, his heart pounding like it might tear free of his ribs. When he returned, the house smelled of blood and fear and something holy. It was a boy. Small, fierce, alive. Clara wept as she held him, her face transformed by wonder and terror all at once. Elijah stood in the doorway, hands shaking, afraid to step closer, afraid of what hope might do to him if he let it in. "You can hold him," Clara whispered. He did. The weight of the child settled into his arms like a promise he had once given up on. The baby's fingers curled around his thumb, impossibly strong. In the days that followed, something shifted between them. Clara spoke more. She told him about the man who had promised marriage and vanished when her belly began to show. About her mother's bitterness, sharpened by poverty and fear. About the night she was told she would be sold, like a thing that could be exchanged for survival. "I hated her," Clara said one evening, staring into the fire. "But I understood. That was the worst part." Elijah nodded. Understanding can hurt more than anger. Winter came hard. The ranch struggled. One night, Elijah collapsed in the barn, pain tearing through his chest. When he woke, Clara was there, her face pale with fear. "I can't lose you," she said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. The doctor came. It was his heart. Weak but not failing. A warning, not an end. After that, Elijah learned to let himself be cared for. Clara learned to trust. They moved around each other like two people learning a new language, careful and earnest. The miracle came quietly, without thunder or light. One morning, as Elijah watched Clara rocking the baby by the window, he realized the emptiness inside him was gone. Not filled by blood or name, but by choice. "I never asked," Clara said later, voice trembling. "Why you bought me?" Elijah took a long breath. "Because no one should be owned," he said. "And because I thought maybe saving you might save me too." She reached for his hand. "You did." Years later, when the boy called him father for the first time, Elijah stepped outside and let the wind carry his tears across the land. The ranch was still lonely, still hard. But it was no longer empty. What he had waited for was never a miracle of flesh or blood. It was the courage to open his life to love again, and the grace to find it where he least expected.